Hey, g'day guys, Matt here. So this is my son's 80s series. This is the one that featured in the YouTube video that we drowned it in the mud puddle. If you haven't seen that video, then I'll put a link in so you can go watch that. And you've probably heard people go on about, oh, mud, I avoid it at all costs. They're usually people that have been wheeling for a while, and I tend to be one of those people that avoid mud. And we're going to go through with you in this vehicle now some of the things that have been caused by that mud puddle. So if you're into hooking into the nearest bog hole, that's fine. Just understand what you're getting yourself into. Now we're probably 2 months after that event, and my son's had heaps of dramas with the vehicle since that situation where we had water up to here. Like it was bad. So I want to show you one of the problems in a second, but one of the issues he's having is the low range lever is really stiff to go from high to low and all of that. And that only started after the bogging situation, and that's caused by, on the top of these gearboxes, that lever is on a pivot that's in a situation where it gets full of water, and then they do this once, they dry out a little bit. So that's why he's got that issue. So we'll fix that for him here. Now, this is the next problem. I'm gonna start the car and we'll go around and have a look at the alternator. It's a bit noisy. I'll try and talk over the top of it. Hear that noise? So when we got back from the trip, the alternator brushes had gone, so we changed the brushes. Now, see that little shaft basically in the middle of the video at the back of the alternator? Look how it's wobbly. So the noise we've got is caused by the bearings of the alternator, which have basically, I'm going to shut this off, basically died, and I would say they've died as a result of the mud in that mud puddle. So since we went through that puddle, my son Aaron has done all his wheel bearings, and they all had water and were in a bad state. So to get from here to where he lives is a bit over 1,000 kilometres in that time. That gave him grief. The next issue he had is his gearbox was full of watery oil, emulsified, and basically his gearbox is now noisy and he's going to have to change the gearbox. Fortunately, I have an old gearbox from one of my old 80 series, so I've given him that. I've just finished fitting a new alternator down in there. I'll show you the old one in a second, and I'm about to pull the starter motor out because that's getting lazy, and I'd say there's water in the solenoid and it's just a bit sticky. So the alternator here, so this failed on his trip up to Queensland the other earlier in the week, and this bearing in the back of the alternator, you see that? All right, I'll take this off. Let's have a look at this bearing. Now this has failed because of the water, the mud getting into this alternator. That bearing is shot. So we've just fitted a whole new alternator to it, save him the grief. But, water got into that bearing, and over the last, he's probably done, I'm going to say 2,000 to 3,000 Ks. So I just thought I'd give you an update, give you some information. Hopefully you can learn from that and just be a little bit more aware about just, EHR into every bog hole you see. It's going to cost you money. And I think, hey Aaron, how much do you reckon this has cost you?
Oh, $3,000 probably.
$3,000?
Yeah, probably.
You reckon?
But maybe even more once we get the gearbox fixed.
Oh, that's right, because the gearbox went. That's right. Yep, the gearbox went. Front pinion bearing went as well. And that, look at the tide mark on his seat. So what we're doing at the moment is we're absolutely stripping the whole carpet, everything out of the car. We're going to put some sound deadening in, but we're going to give the whole interior a proper clean. So that's what Aaron's starting to do at the moment. But yeah, look, even his fridge, you can see the tide mark on the fridge. It sucks. It sucks. This is crap, storing your winch cable like that. I gave him a servant for that, but he reckons, oh, it's quick and easy.
No, it's not it.
So we've got the carpet out and it's gone dark and it's sort of late in the evening. But anyway, we're about to wash it, so I needed to do this piece of the video right now for you, just to show you how much mud is actually under the carpet. I mean, look at that front footwell there. It's it's just mud and all that. And down here, inside here, this is a body mount. It's just full of mud and stuff. So we're going to get all of this out of there and clean this out properly. Now, not all of this will be from this incident. Like, the car's 20 odd years old, so there's obviously going to be stuff going on. The other thing we've done is we've pulled out all of the bungs here, and this is a body mount bung, there's a bung there. Like, basically we've gone right through the floor pan and found wherever we can, pulled out any bungs and whatever, even these little ones in under here, pulled them out. So we're literally going to hose this out now, and then it'll dry overnight, and then tomorrow we can start putting it back together. So the last thing we've got to do is got to get the air compressor out. It's got the dreaded ARB air locker oil leaks going on, so we're going to sort that out while we're in here, clean all that oil out and tidy that up. So yeah, water, mud, not good. So Aaron's getting into all the little holes and nooks and everything. It's going to go right through all the quarter panels. There's a bit of dust down in that part of the quarter panel down in there, so he's going to be going in there on both sides and just starting at the back and washing it all forward and out of the car. She'll be beautiful shortly. There you go. It's not bad to give her a wash after 20 odd years, eh? So now what we're doing is we've got the interior all cleaned. We're just in the final stages of cleaning it. We're going to put some sound deadening in here while we've got it all stripped out. So that's what we're doing here now, is just getting it ready for that. The other issue that's developed over the last little bit, low range lever is heavy to use, and so I'll open that up and I'll show you how we can fix that and what's gone wrong and why that's done that. So we've got the low range lever opened up here. Now, at the moment, it's really jammed up, like really tight. So you can see in here, there's this section here, there's a shaft and bushes and stuff, and that'll all have filled up with water when it was drowned. So a bit of WD, and let's see if we get this going. All right, and we'll keep going. It's definitely easing up. Good morning workout. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to give it another squirt, let it soak for a bit, then we'll come and work it, and we'll just, over the day as we're working on the car, we'll just keep working this until that WD-40 really gets down into the whole thing, and it should come good. We'll see how we go. Righto, so all of the sound deadening's been put through. We didn't put the back section through here in because his draw set sits there, so that's pretty good sound deadening, but we did do the wheel wells. We did in the side parts there. He did inside the tailgate, just there. Other side over there, you can see, all of this. We did inside the doors. So yeah, so we've done all that, and this low range lever now, it's working. So when he is going to get this gearbox changed, remember I said earlier that the gearbox is gone because of the mud puddle. So when he changes that, he'll pull that apart and get that lubed up and serviced properly, but at least it works now. So yeah, I'm sure somebody's appreciated knowing that little trick to get their low range lever working. Anyway, now we're going to start putting the carpet and everything back together, and I've got to still pull the starter motor out. So we'll get into that in a minute. So I found another bearing which was shot, and now can't say that it was categorically because of the mud puddle, but it kind of helped it, and it's this one here. So this is basically like an anti-flap bearing. It sits down there on the fan belts, and basically on the slack side of the fan belts it stops them flapping around, especially when they get loose. But because the bearing failed, you can see here where the belts have been rubbing over the pulley, because the pulley's not rotating. Obviously that's a bad thing, but yeah, the bearing's completely failed. Like, you can actually see the balls up inside there, but I can't even turn that. It's completely locked up. So the guys at Terrain Tamer, they had a new unit, so we're just going to bolt that on. It's nice and easy to bolt on, which is a good thing. It's just going to go onto that bolt there, then this cover, which kind of protects the bearing somewhat, not a heap, but a little bit, then this, and then screws in place. So it's a nice, easy thing, and it's relatively cheap, but you know, it's just another thing because of mud. Okay, first thing, gee, I wish I had my workshop. This new place we moved to, I'm working here in the rain. It sucks. Anyway, we've got the starter motor apart, and I was dead right. It's not in good order. It's definitely got water in it. You can see water sitting up here. Now that would have got in from when we were in that bog hole, and you can see all this corrosion and crap down in here. And you can see on these contacts here how they're dirty. So all of that is going to give us issues. The slug, which goes down inside here, which is this part here. Okay, it sits down in here. So it's all dry and stuff. So that's another part that we're going to clean up and get operating nicely. And it's also got water on this spring, so that's got in there. You can see on this cover here, the corrosion, that's moisture. The actual motor side's not too bad, but you know, you can see on these springs there's a little bit of corrosion there, and around when it springs, that's these bits here. So you can see there's a little bit of corrosion there. So we'll just give them a bit of a tidy up and stuff. The actual inside here, you can see a little bit of corrosion on these magnets. So that's, you know, it's not bad, but you know, it's good that we're cleaning it out. The commutator, this part here, is quite dirty. That's not so much from corrosion, but we will tidy that up. And this bearing it's okay actually. It's not feeling bad, so that's a good thing. And same with this front bearing, but you can see a little bit of corrosion there on that gear, and so you know, that's not a good thing. Down here in the gearbox, so these starter motors are a reduction type starter motor. Everything's pretty good in here, so there has been moisture and stuff, so I'm going to give it a clean up and tidy that up, and that's the drive side. So overall, with the starter motor, we haven't got any problems. We're avoiding problems. I'll be able to put all this back together and tidy it up, and we'll be good to go. But it just shows you how much damage happens with water and mud. So anyway, we're slowly getting on top of it. Come around, I'll show you. Aaron's got the inside of the car coming back together now. So he's mounted his compressor, carpet's all looking real tidy and everything. We got that gear stick working real good. So yeah, it's coming together. Looking forward to going for a run and seeing how much noise reduction we get from that sound deadening that we've put in there. What do you reckon, Aaron?
Hopefully a lot.
Hopefully a lot, come on.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. It's still raining, which has made this job very painful, but we've done a whole heap of jobs to really sort this vehicle out. We had a blown fuse over here and a relay which wasn't working. The fuse inside here was that's for his spotlight, so we've got the Ultravision Nitro spotty working for him, the light bar. We've done the alternator we've talked about already. We've done the starter motor we've talked about already, and I picked these up today, Terrain Tamer guards for working on your car. What a nice piece of kit. So yeah, that just saves you scratching your paintwork when you're working on your car, so that's a good score. All the interior's back in now, so Yeah, so we're about to go for a run and see how the sound deadening works. Obviously he's on the road, so he's got all his swag in the back there and all that. Fridge and stuff, drawers are back in. So he's just packing the final bits and pieces. We adjusted the handbrake, broke the handbrake cable. Very, very frustrating. So we've just fitted a new handbrake cable. So let's give you a little bit of a rundown on the costs that Aaron's incurred through this adventure. These are all in Australian dollars. So front and rear wheel bearings, $400. Front and rear pinion seals for his differentials, $30. A new alternator, $460. The new water pump, $213. Now, I think it'd be a bit hard to say that was definitely done by the mud puddle, but when he got home, it started leaking, so yeah, that's part of it. Flushing the gearbox oil, he had to do that 8 times on his trip back home, and that was $350. New gearbox, install, etc., $1,800. Replace front diff oil, $40. Replace rim weights on his wheels, $70, because they got ripped off in the mud and he was had wheel balance issues. And one more thing was the fan belt pulley was $30 for the anti-flap pulley on the fan belts. So there's a fair bit in all of that, but yeah, that's what it's cost him. Anyway, we've ticked off a lot of those things that we were frustrated about, eh?
Yeah.
So tomorrow he heads back home, a bit over 1,000 Ks to head home, and yeah, I'll miss him. Anyway, guys, I hope that was interesting, sort of seeing a little bit of the aftermath of hitting every bog hole you see. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if that's your thing, no worries, you go for it. But just understand you are hurting your vehicle. All right, guys, I'm Mad Matt. Stay safe on the trails. You know, the more I look at that thumb, yeah, look, it does the job. Let's go with that. Catch ya, guys.